The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we're coming to you from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. This is the home for Autism Live. It is also the home for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm so happy to be here with you and proud to have the opportunity to get to be with you guys on this journey. I want you to know that we welcome everyone in the larger autism community here, whether you are an individual who's on the autism spectrum yourself. I mean, of course, we welcome you here, right? But we also welcome everybody who loves and cares about you too. Parents, caregivers, therapists, right? Teachers, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, everybody who cares about individuals on the autism spectrum. That's our larger autism community. And we hope that together we can add information and inspiration to people's lives so that they can achieve the things that they deserve and rightly need. If you need support, that we can find that too, but to get to do the things that you want to do. That's what we're here about. Excuse me. I've got a tickle in my throat. But we got a big show for you here, but Traven's already started to show you some of the different ways that you can connect with us here. I want to remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com, and most especially you can be watching the show there. You can comment by going to the chat at the bottom of the page. You can write in your questions on Facebook and YouTube, but if you do it on the chat, then I'm the only one who gets to see it. So if you want a little bit of anonymity, that's where you can do that. Also, on that homepage, there's a little toy guide at the top of the page. If you click on that, that will take you to the 2019 toy and gift guide that Autism Live curates, because we put together a bunch of parents and therapists and kiddos and teenagers and adults on the spectrum, and we asked them to play with toys. We asked them to vote for what they liked, but we also watch them and we see what they gravitate back towards over and over and over again. And so we started a couple of weeks ago and we're continuing all the way until December 20th, reviewing the toys that are in the toy guide, but you can go and check them out now and start your holiday shopping. We used to do this and you guys said, Shannon, it's really inconvenient for me to have to leave the page and go Google it to buy it. I want to be able to buy it on the internet. So we made it interactive for you. If you hover over the name of the product, you are able, it's hyperlink. You can click it and it takes you to a place where you can purchase the toy. I want to be abundantly clear that we don't make any money on that. That is not what that is about. We just did that because you guys asked for it. So that we're at your service. You ask and we were able to do that. Okay, so that's that big show. I want to get to all of that, but because it's Monday, we like to start off with something we fondly refer to here as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to figure out what in the hey nani are those experts talking about, and what does this have to do with me? And you know, my thing is always, can this save me money and time, right? Because when it boils down to it, can it save me money and time, and can it get us to some progress, right? And today we're going to save time, money, and progress. Watch how we do this. Our term today is imaginative play. This way, Carol Merrill. Excuse me. So we've been talking about, excuse me, the tickle just gets worse, right? So I must stop and drink from my Thelma Lou Creations mug, one of the things featured in our toy and gift guide. Great gifts that they make. Check them out. Okay, they made my sign too. But if you didn't see the show where they did something with my son's artwork, forget it. Oh my gosh, it's like push all the buttons, I'm there. In any case, we're talking about imaginative play. So let's take a look at what the actual definition for imaginative play is. Imaginative play is using imagination to create objects, locations, scenarios, and situations where they do not already exist for the purpose of play. And so that's like, all right, I'm not 100% sure what that means, but let's move on to our working definition and see if we can't make heads or tails of it. Imaginative play is making it up. So we started out talking to you about functional pretend play, right? Where functional pretend play is when you have an object that it looks like the real thing, but it's a toy. I always use the example of the toy vacuum cleaner, right? It doesn't have a plug, nobody can get electrocuted. You push it and little, things bubble up from air pressure, so it looks like it's vacuuming. It might even make a noise depending on how much money you pay for the play vacuum cleaner, right? But the child pushes it back and forth to make it look like they're vacuuming. It's pretending something that is functional, right? And then the other day we talked about symbolic play. Symbolic play is when you don't have the toy vacuum cleaner, you have a broom, but the child wants to pretend that it's a vacuum cleaner, so they take the broom or a bat or a stick and they go and they vacuum with this thing that it's an object, but they've endowed it with qualities that are a vacuum cleaner, right? Imaginative play is when you do it with nothing, right? Imaginative play is when I say, all right, I'm gonna go plug in my vacuum cleaner and I've got nothing, right? We all become mimes. And we plug in the vacuum cleaner and I make a big deal of turning it on and going click and make more noise than it would take, and I go and I pretend that I am vacuuming the living room. And I can do this with anything, right? I used the example the other day of, your child might have a plastic phone that looks like a cell phone and it makes beep noises, right? That's the functional pretend play toy, right? When we do symbolic play, we take something that is clearly not a phone and I go, hello, bing, 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 and I pretend, oh, hello, I'd like to order a pizza, please, right? Now that's symbolic play. Imaginative play is when I don't even need that. So I can do this anywhere where I go, hey, let me reach over here and take my fake phone, right? And I'm gonna call somebody on the phone and go, hi, I'd like to order an elephant, right? Kids get this. And maybe not the first time, right? And sometimes you really got to act it out. But I was saying the other day that when you do the symbolic play and you turn this into a phone, especially for any kid, right? But for kiddos on the spectrum, they're especially like, that's not a phone. I don't know what you're doing. I think maybe you've lost your mind, right? They scrunch up their little faces, verbal, nonverbal, right? They look at you and they're like, I don't understand what you're doing. Right? Like little accountants. But if you're having a good time while you're doing and going, hi, oh my gosh, it's Mickey Mouse on the phone, and hand the phone to them, eventually, with enough reinforcement and you making it fun and funny, they will play along and it opens up their brains in all different ways. But then you can take it to the next level. And when you guys say, I don't know how to teach, well, now I've got it upside down. A lot of you have said to me, I don't know how to teach creativity. I don't know how to teach them to be imaginative. This is how we model it first. And you've got to be having a good time with it, right? So you find things, so start with the functional pretend things, work your way to the symbolic, and then go to the completely making it up. And guess what? You can mix them all up. There's no law that says, you can't be talking on the phone, but then, have a pretend chord. There are no rules, right? But when we think of it this way and go, oh, okay, then you start to see what's missing. So do take at least one thing and do the functional pretend, then do the symbolic, and then do it with nothing. And watch your kids light up. Watch them get it. And they may not get it the first time, and don't get downtrodden if they don't. Because some of these things take a little bit of time. But again, it all hinges on the fun. If you're having a good time, then they will have a good time. I can remember being at a restaurant with my sister's kids when they were little. And the food was taking forever. And I don't remember what it was that my sister had to go do, but she had to go do something, leave me to have lunch with 3 little kids that were under the ages of 3, right? And I was probably 19 years old, but I was imaginative, and I've always had fun playing with kiddos, and I have a theater background, right? So we're taught to play a little bit different. So don't feel bad if you don't know how to do this and you're like, Shannon, how did you get? I did a lot of theater classes, right? Have a degree in theater, but I was there and I had nothing at my disposal. So we decided to play pretend cards, and I'll tell you something. We first started, there were napkins, and we started tearing them into cards, and then they fell over, it wasn't working, so we played pretend cards. And I showed them, oh, you go like this, and it's your cards are in a line, right? And we played like Go Fish with pretend cards. One of the most fun things that I've ever done. And those kids, I always played that way with them. They used to say to me when I would be at my mother's house visiting, and I would say, come on, let's go get ice cream, right? And they would say, which car are we gonna take? And there would be like 3 or 4 cars, because my mother's car, my father's car, and my sister's car, and her husband's car, there were cars, right? And they would say, which car should we take? And I'd say, let's take my car. And this is before I had a car. And they would say, your car? You don't have a car? And I'd say, yes, I do. Mine is the green one that's parked right outside. And they would go, I don't see a car. And I would walk down the driveway, and then I would open the fake car door, and I would get in, and I would go, who'd like to drive? And then they were like, okay, let's get in the car with her, and we're going to go someplace. And we would jog around the small block pretending that we were in a green car. Well, all of those kids are deeply imaginative and creative. I take a little bit of credit. I'm just saying you can play this way with kiddos, and it opens up the world for them. It allows them to think in different ways. And you know what else? It's fun. It's deeply fun, and it's relaxing. When especially when we're rule-oriented people, and it's like you're taught these are the lines you can color in and you can't color any other place. And when somebody shows you, oh, except there's a whole other area that you can color, that it's perfectly okay, it frees them up, and I do think that it reduces some anxiety. I don't have studies on that, but it's my personal belief. Okay. In any case, moving on, we always have a question of the day for you. And my question for you today, I'm getting all revved about the holiday season. We want to know, what are you asking for this holiday season? And this could be a gift that you're asking for, or this could be something you're asking, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, the universe, or some bigger thing that you're asking, world peace. I got to be honest with you that if you had asked me this a week ago, I would have said something. And what I'm asking for this holiday season is that we figure out how to keep our kids safe at school. Can we please figure out how we keep our kids safe at school? And if you think that you have the answer, I want to get behind something to affect change. I just don't know what to get behind. So please write in and tell me what you think would change that equation, because this has to be done, right? Can't even, right? What are you asking for this holiday season? And you know what? Just because I said that does not mean that you can't be asking for a blender, right? It's all fair. It's all fair game. It's all good. What are you asking for this holiday season? Okay. And then we always have a topic for today, and I can think of no better day to have this, no better week to have this topic as we get ready for Thanksgiving here in the United States. It's getting your grateful on. It's so hard. See, I'm going to get emotional. It's so hard when hard things happen in the world to look and see the bright side, right? And we always say to you here that what's wrong is readily available. But it is important to our souls and to our lives and to moving forward that every day, every day we take the opportunity to be grateful for what we have. And I know that for some of you, this holiday season feels like, Shannon, I just don't know what I could be grateful for this year. And I guarantee you there's something, because if you are breathing, there is something to be grateful for, right? If I have a friend who says every day I'm above ground, living the dream. And when we are in a space of being grateful for what we have, it frees us up to so many other things. So I ask you today, And I don't know what you're carrying today. I have no idea. And there are some people who are carrying some really heavy burdens today. But I ask you today to ask your inner self, what do I have to be grateful for? Count your blessings. And if you've got one, that's something. And if you've got 5, that's something. And if you've got 500, count those. I personally have so much to be grateful for this year. Does it mean that there are people that I have lost in my life? Yes, I have, and I feel the grief of that. But there are so many other things. We miss this moment if we stay in that moment, right? So it is essential that wherever you are today, we can come back to what's wrong in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, in 10 days. But let's identify something that we are grateful for. And one of the many things that I am grateful for is this opportunity to be with you. Can I be abundantly clear that this has been a gift in my life to have this time to be with you? And yes, I'm talking to you. Because having this opportunity helps me to be able to, I made a deal. I honestly made a deal. I was on the floor of my bedroom and said, please help me to help my child. Please show me and be clear what to do. And I promise, if you're clear, I will do it. And I will turn around and help whoever else I can. And that was fulfilled for me very quickly. I was very quickly shown what to do. Within 24 hours, I was in the home for my job. I got sent to a home where I met a family who was a card family. Within 12 hours of me saying that on my bedroom floor, that's where I was. And I'd never heard of card before. And I took that as very much of a sign, and it was. I asked you guys the other day about what do you know for sure. I know for sure that that was a sign for me, that was the answer to the prayer that I prayed. And so I do have an obligation to do what I can. I'm only one person, right? And I am not omniscient, nor am I omnipotent, but I can be here with you. I can hold your hand virtually and say, si se puede, because we can do this, and you are not alone. I assure you, you are not alone. And I will do what I can right into me. So did we already show them all the things? We did. Yes, we did. I've lost my place in time. So we're going to be grateful today. And one of the things that we're most grateful for is for Bonnie Yates. We're going to take a break and we're going to be back with her. And she's got some important news for us. So stick with us.
Hey, I'm Candace Cameron Bray.
Tom Bergeron.
You're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
You're watching Autism Live.
Arts and craft activities are a great way to practice on skills you're already working on with your child. For the month of November, we'll be making a paper corn. The skill we're going to be focusing on with this activity is fine motor, more specifically the pincher grasp. You'll see why in just a moment. Depending on the skill level of your child, you can also have them help you fold the paper, trace the silhouette of the corn, or cut it out. It all depends on what you want to be focusing on today. The materials you'll be needing are paper, tissue paper, a pencil, glue, and a cup of water and paintbrush if you're using the wet glue, scissors, and a template you can download from our website at facebook.com/autismlive. And don't forget to like us while you're there. Or you can always just draw it from your imagination. All right, let's start the activity. First I want to do is take my tissue paper I bought from the store and turn it into strips that I can then turn into squares. Again, they don't need to be perfect squares because we're going to be changing its form anyways in the end. All right, and as you can see, I've done it to several different colors. I cheated, and they're all right here for me to use. All right, the next thing we want to do is to make the shape that we're going to be gluing all the kernels onto. I have my template that I already downloaded from facebook.com/autismlive, and now I'm going to use this to make the form that we're going to be gluing onto. I'm going to take one of my pieces of paper, I'm going to fold it in half. This way the corn will be symmetrical. Once it's been folded in half, I'm going to take my form and then I'm going to trace around it. And again, depending on your child's skill level, either you can do it or the child can do it. But again, the focus of this activity is the pincher grasp. All right, now that I have it traced, I'm going to cut it out. And ta-da, here is my blank corn, but it's missing its kernels. So now that's what we're gonna be working on. I'm gonna use this glue, but you can always use a glue stick as well. The reason why I like this one is that it doesn't dry as fast. So I'm gonna squeeze it all over my corn and then take my paintbrush, dip it in some water, and then smear it all over the corn. The next step is making the kernels. What your child is gonna do is take one of the tissue squares and practice their pincher grasp. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And once they have this, then they're gonna place it onto the corn. And as you can see, it's got a lot of surface area to cover with these kernels, so lots of opportunities to practice their pincher grasp. And ta-da! It's done. As you can see, lots of opportunity to practice your child's pincher grasp. When you're finished, don't forget to share your pictures online at facebook.com/autismlive. I look forward to seeing them and see you soon. Bye.
Can you see me? Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live. So I'm going to tell you a little secret that Monday's show, we sometimes have to pre-tape on the Thursday before. So you guys are watching this on Monday, but for us, it's Thursday. And it's a very special day today because we're welcoming Bonnie Yates. And I don't know if she knows that we know this, but it's her birthday. And I know this because Bonnie shares a birthday with my mom. So every year I think of you, Bonnie. So we're saying happy birthday to Bonnie, and we're glad that you've had another trip around the sun and are here with us and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I don't see Bonnie. I've got a black screen there where Bonnie would be. But happy birthday, Bonnie. I would sing to you, but then I would drive people from the broadcast, and we don't want that. But very happy birthday and many returns to you because we appreciate you more than you will know. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, Bonnie Yates is a special education attorney, and she is an amazing, amazing person. And Bonnie, I think you have some things to tell us.
I do have some things to tell you. First of all, thank you for the birthday wishes. And my big extra special birthday surprise for today is that my grandson sent me flowers. So he's starting off at a young age with pretty good EQ in terms of, like, are there any women out there that, I've tried to explain this to my husband, no women hate getting flowers, okay? Right. It's like a pretty safe thing to do. Right. Anyway, so thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Your first flowers as a grandma. That's pretty fabulous.
Exactly. Yeah. My first birthday as a grandma.
There you go.
Anyway, I wanted to let everyone know that I had an opportunity to join a law firm that was historically based in San Jose, California, Tollner Law Offices, and we are opening an office in El Segundo, California, and we will be working in both Northern and Southern California, and I'm really excited about that. Great team of people. So I need to tell Northern California people who historically, before we told we couldn't really help you, that we can definitely help you. So next week I can give you all the particulars, but I just wanted to say it's a very happy day for me, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot of great stuff in the new year. So
congratulations. Very exciting.
So we do give you the same attorney disclaimer, and that's basically just so you understand. We're teaching you about your legal rights. We're not really telling you how to handle your particular situation. If you have a problem, and lots of people with kids in special ed certainly do, there's really a need to have a focused conversation with your facts in front of you with an attorney that practices in this area. And so if you're in Northern or Southern California, we can offer you a complimentary consultation. If you are in another state and you need help, go to the COPAA.net directory. That's Council of Parents, Advocates, and Attorneys, and they should be able to direct you to some folks in your state that work in special ed.
Fabulous.
So-
And Bonnie, I'm told that we have to pause and go to a break really quick, and then we're going to come back when you're going to give us some very interesting information about charter schools, correct?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back after these messages.
Hi guys, welcome back to Smarty. This month we're going to be making a placemat prompter. As we work on this activity, you'll notice that these icons will pop up. These tell you important information about what skills we're using to create the craft and how to access these lessons in the Skills program. Skills is the ABA-based online tool that helps parents educate their children that are on the autism spectrum. And if you are a Skills user, this will help you get the most out of this educational experience. Well, let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are the template from our Facebook page at facebook.com/autismlive and your dishware. This activity is going to help your child be able to set the table on their own. The way we do that is by using this prompt. This template acts as a placemat for the table. So it has all the prompts as to where all the dishes and utensils need to go on the table. And as your child gets better in remembering where everything goes, you can remove prompts to make it more challenging for them. And lo and behold, as time goes on, they'll be able to do it independently without any prompts. Well, I hope you enjoy this really super quick and helpful activity. Well, until next time guys, craft on! To find more about Skills and to access all of the lessons you saw in today's Smarty, visit skillsforautism.com and click on the parents icon. Skills, the online autism solution.
Welcome back. We can see the birthday girl. Happy birthday. It's all good. Okay, so we already did our disclaimer about advice and about people in Southern and Northern California getting a hold of you to help with services. And now, Bonnie, you're going to tell us about charter schools and what we need to know.
I am going to tell you about charter schools, and what I do want to tell you is that last week I sent to Shannon a publication from the Department of Education, the U.S. Department of Education, that gets into this charter school question in a really detailed way. So if you want more, there is more. What I think was interesting about this audience person's question is as follows. Charter schools are sort of shrouded in mystery for most of us. I mean, I realize probably I know less because my children are already grown up, but I think there's a lot of room for confusion about what they are and how they work. And the listener's question was basically like, why can't my child get his rights under the IDEA at his charter school? And the short answer to that is that it shouldn't work any differently in the charter school than it does in a regular public school. But because it's a murky area and because there's different ways that charter schools are regulated, historically I've heard people saying things like, well, if you go to a charter school, you're going to lose all your services. I think probably what the reader's dealing with is that the charter school she was dealing with may have been acting extra legally, and so in diving in deeper to all of this, if you want to understand about the funding structure, that's covered in the article, the Department of Ed article, and if you want to understand kind of how allocation of responsibilities work, there's different ways that charter schools can come into being. And that's also covered in the article, too. They can charter themselves. They can be chartered by a school district. There's different ways that they can be set up and different ways that they get their money. But they're supposed to be public, and they're supposed to be non-sectarian, and they are supposed to comply with the IDEA. And the reason that she was having trouble in her son's charter school is the reason that you were having trouble in your non-charter school with your child's problem, and that's because school districts don't follow the law. So it's not that there's some different set of rules for charter schools, and when you go through the article and you look at the questions and the answers to the questions, what it really serves as for the listener, I think at this point, is like a little quiz for you about how much you understand your idea rights, because if you understand them, the answers are mostly always the same about how IDEA works in the charter school as they are in a regular public school. So I'm not going to get into a lot of the funding and legalities and things like that. If you're dealing with a charter school, though, you know, on behalf of your child, what you need to start with is the charter of the school, so that you can see, you know, who regulates them, where their money comes from, what their policies potentially are. Does that make sense?
Totally. Totally.
Okay.
You know, I never thought before about charter and the fact that there is a charter and that each charter is going to be different. Like, that never occurred to me before, Bonnie. Totally makes sense.
This is why I said the whole thing is shrouded in mystery, because there's like 3 or 4 different ways you can become a charter. And obviously there's more conventional, like the brick and mortar charters. And then I don't know whether you've encountered this, Shannon, but sometimes people will actually join a charter that is nowhere near where they live. So there's a lot of people in the homeschooling movements, for example, that put their kids in charter schools to get, like, if you're homeschooling but you put your kid in a charter, they might give you a certain amount of speech and language services or OT services every year. So, you know, the question was kind of like how those virtual charters work, as opposed to the brick and mortar charter. So, yes, each charter has a charter and bears looking into. And if I had a chance, I would have gotten a sample charter for people to look at. I can still do that if we decide that's helpful. So some definitional stuff, okay? I mean, a charter school means a public school that is created by a developer as a public school, or is adapted by a developer from an existing public school, and is operated under public supervision and direction. And it has to provide a program of elementary or secondary education, or both. It has to be non-sectarian. It has to not charge tuition. And it has to comply with a bunch of federal statutes: the AIDS Discrimination Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Title IX, 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, the ADA, Americans with Disabilities, FERPA, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and the IDEA. And it admits students on the basis of a lottery if more students apply for admission than get in. So that's a little goodie there for us in terms of like how the admissions process works. So question 5, do children with disabilities who attend charter schools and their parents retain all rights and protections under Part B of the IDEA? Yes. Charter schools are public schools, and therefore children with disabilities who attend charter schools and their parents retain all rights and protections under Part B of the IDEA, just as they would if the child was enrolled in regular public school. So there you go, right? Just as they would if you were enrolled in a regular public school. I'm not going to go into who's responsible for what. That's covered on page 4 of the article. It's hyper-technical. I don't think it's necessary for purposes of giving you the overview. Question 7, what are the responsibilities of a lead educational agency when a charter school is a public school of a lead educational agency? And that basically means that somebody else is a lead educational agency, which could be a public school district or could be the state, has the responsibility for regulating the charter school. And basically, the requirement is that the school provides supplementary and related services on site at the charter school to the same extent that the lead educational agency has such services on the site of its other public schools. So again, here we see there's supposed to be no difference in terms of how IDEA is being implemented. Page 5, they tell you that the charter schools have to engage in proper child find. We've discussed that. Okay, I just lost you, Shannon.
We still have you sound, but we've
Okay.
lost the picture. I know Traven's working on that, but we got the sound.
Should I just
so
keep
let's
going?
keep going.
Okay. So, where was I?
About
The
child
char-
find.
Yeah, the charter school has the same responsibilities as far as developing an IEP and providing for the provision of required special education and related services, and providing in the least restrictive environment, affording eligible children and their parents procedural safeguards and due process rights, and complying with the confidentiality of information requirements. It also goes on to say that just like regular public schools, if the charter school determines that there's a need for a child to have some kind of special education that they don't have in the school, they have a legal obligation to contract out for it. So, I mean, really what you're seeing here is that that things are going wrong, and they're going wrong in the actual implementation of things. It's not something about the structure per se that's discriminatory. Question 12, how do charter schools implement the requirement to provide a free, appropriate public education? Answer. Under IDEA, the vehicle for ensuring the provision of FAPE to all students with disabilities, including charter school students with disabilities, is a properly developed IEP. Accordingly, all children with disabilities in charter schools must receive special education and related services and supplementary aids and services in accordance with the child's IEP. The IEP is a written statement for a child with a disability that is developed, reviewed, and revised in a meeting in accordance with Section 300.320 through 300.324, 34 Code of Federal Regulations, Section 300.320A. Why did I read you all that? Because as part of your special ed quiz and how much you knew, the answer is, if you go to a charter school and you have a disability, just like in any other public school, they have to develop an IEP for you.
And they have to follow it.
Everybody has to follow it, but everybody doesn't follow it, and
Right.
that's why this program exists.
Right, so that you know your rights. It's exactly what you guys
Yes,
are looking at. But I
exactly.
loved the fact that, Bonnie, it included in the sentence that it said that they're entitled to according to their IEP, and it used the word aids in there, that you're entitled to an
Supplementary
aid.
aids and services.
Yep.
Yes.
Because I just was talking to you today about, we're hearing about places who are saying, oh, we don't do aids.
Well, interestingly, this is AIDS as opposed to AIDS. But really what supplementary aids means within the context of the IDEA isn't a one-to-one aid. And so supplementary aids, I believe, refers to accommodations, actually.
Okay, but isn't a one-on-one aid an accommodation?
Well, that's another program, Shannon. I think a one-to-one aid
You've
is
opened
a
another
service.
can of worms. Oh, okay.
I think a
Interesting.
one-to-one aid is a service.
Okay.
I think the reason for putting that in the accommodations is some sort of attempt to get it off the service page and make it not subject to stay put, which I don't think will work. But I think that's why it's being done like that in some places.
Okay.
Are we going to keep going, or are we out of time?
We've got about 3 more minutes, to be honest.
Okay, well, we're just going to keep rolling.
Okay.
Question 13, what are a charter school's responsibilities for serving a child with a disability once that child is enrolled? Goes on to say you have to have an annual IEP for the child, and you need to make sure the goals are being achieved. You need to revise the IEP as appropriate. You need to, the charter school or the LEA has to make sure that one or both of the parents of a child with a disability are present at the IEP team meeting, and that they have an opportunity, and that the meeting is scheduled early enough to ensure that they have an opportunity to attend, and the meeting must be scheduled at a mutually agreed upon time and place. Now, you guys might not have known this, but when they schedule your IEP, they have to try to work with you to make it at a mutually agreed upon time and place. That's not in the charter school law. That's 34 CFR 300.322A. So that's for those of you that are told that you have to have your meeting at a time and place that's inconvenient. Question 14. Are there limits on the amount or type of special education or related services that can be provided to children with disabilities in a public school? If you're really interested in that question, the short answer is no, and you can go read the rest of it. It goes on to talk about what they have to provide and that they have to implement the child's IEP in the charter school at no cost to the parent. Okay? So that's question 14.
And all of this, the document that Bonnie is reading from, we're putting the link to this on Facebook right now, so it's there for you guys to be going through as well.
Yeah, because I'm not covering all of it because it's
Right.
about 30 pages long.
Right.
Then there's some stuff about what happens if you move into a charter, what happens if they can't get your records, the question about what happens if there's a disagreement and they have to give you prior written notice, which we've talked about before here, correct?
Yes.
Prior written notice, they have to tell you why they're saying yes or no for something you requested, and they have to give you their reasons and the documents they relied on. So that's just like any other situation with an IEP. What happens if the charter school, after the student enters the charter school, they want to change the amount or type of services provided to the student? What's the answer, Shannon? What does the charter school have to do if they want to do that?
Provide prior written notice. No?
No, they have to hold an IEP as well.
Ah,
I think you're
there we
right.
go.
I think they do have to provide prior written notice.
Okay.
But I think they have to have an IEP meeting to change the services.
Okay.
What requirements, question 19, what requirements apply to children with disabilities attending charter schools with respect to their participation in extracurricular and non-academic activities? The answer is to the extent that they provide programs or activities, extracurriculars for children without disabilities, or they provide counseling services, athletics, transportation, health services, recreational activities, et cetera, it must also provide these services and activities to children with disabilities.
Okay, that's
Right.
an important one. That's a really
Can't
important
discriminate against people because they have a disability. You can't tell them they can't play on the volleyball team because they have autism.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, some of this stuff should be rather obvious, but since people so routinely break the law, people have questions about it.
Well, and what I'm hearing is that they don't get to change the rule book just because it says charter school.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that would be a good one-sentence summation of what we spent the last 15 minutes talking about.
There you go.
So I think we're probably out of time.
We are out of time.
On page 13, I want to bring your attention to, there is a section about charter schools that are not nearby. So that's covered. There's take a look at we're going to stop. So take a look at page 13. There's some other good stuff for you people on 13. On page 15, a reevaluation for a child in a charter school. Same exact rules as if they were in public school. You can look at that, question 25. Placement and LRE requirements. What if the charter school can't provide FAPE in the current setting? That's page 17. Page 19. Okay, look at this question.
There's goodies on every page, it sounds like.
Yeah, page 19, question 30. What are the responsibilities of a virtual online charter school to ensure the provision of FAPE to children with disabilities? So that's the bulk of it, and you can get into it if you want and read this. I think it's clean and well put together.
Fabulous. We're sharing it.
And one other thing.
Yeah.
Page 21, the disciplinary protections of a child with a disability in a charter school are exactly the same as those of kids in a regular public school. The reason I mention that is there's been some instances in which charter schools have insisted that they aren't bound by the IDEA rules concerning discipline, expulsion, and suspension. That just ain't true.
It sounds like instead of taking 31 pages to tell us that charter schools need to uphold the same rules that a public school does, that would have been shorter if they'd made a one-sentence thing saying how it is different, the things they can't do. But we'll work on that another time. We'll work on that another time. Sometimes you need it written out.
I think the audience is left with an operational understanding that
Yes.
IDEA rules apply
Yeah.
consistently in a charter school. And if your charter school starts telling you the rules don't apply to them, maybe you can share this document with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so that is on our Facebook right now. Bonnie, thank you so much for being with us on your birthday.
Hey, it was one of my presents to myself.
You're the best. And so we appreciate you. And like I said, I'm so glad that you're here with us. It's such a treat for us. And I'm glad to know you.
And I'll see you.
Celebrating
I'll see you this weekend.
All right. So
Okay.
excited. And next week you're going to tell us more about how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, and next week I'm going to tell you about injuries in public school.
Okay.
Injuries on the campus.
All right.
All righty.
Until
Talk to
then,
everybody
happy
later.
birthday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That was the fabulous Bonnie Yates, and what a treat it is to share time with her. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got a couple of different things from our toy guide that we have got to showcase today. So come back. We're going to talk about some puzzles. Stick with us.
Hi guys, welcome back to Smarty. For November, we're going to be working on memory with our kids, and what better way than doing a scavenger hunt. The materials you'll be needing for this activity are a camera, cardstock, scissors, glue, and whatever objects you want your child to be hunting for. Step 1, you're the hunter. Find all the objects you want your child looking for and take photos of them. Now that you've collected all the objects you want your kids hunting for later, print out the images and then cut them out and glue them on a cardstock just so they're organized and isolated. Now that the scavenger hunt template is done, put all the objects back where they belong. Remember, we're working on memory, so put them in places that your kids would normally find them. You want them to be successful. We'll make this one really easy to find. Well, I hope you enjoyed this activity with your kids. Remember, the scavenger hunt is supposed to be a fun way to work on memory. Well, until next time, craft on, guys.
Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back. We're back. I'm busy looking at things. I don't have my earpiece in, so I'm foolish. But we're back, and I'm so busy looking at the Rabbit puzzles here because I absolutely love them. We've been featuring different things from our toy guide, and these are the winner of our adult category STEM award. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And you might think to yourself, how does a puzzle fit into that? Well, these are 3D puzzles, and that absolutely fits into the engineering part of the puzzle, as it were. We got these puzzles, and I gotta be honest, I love a good puzzle. So I'm a puzzle aficionado to begin with, but then we took these puzzles and did an event where we had people play with the different puzzles, and the most amazing thing happened. I thought people are not gonna come in a room full of toys where there's all these interactive toys, and they're not gonna sit down. We had a puzzle out on a floor mat, and I thought, especially the adults, we should have had a table for this. What have we done? We haven't set this up for success. They're not gonna sit on the floor, on a carpet on the floor and do a puzzle, but that is exactly what they did. All of the teenagers and eventually all of the adults ended up in one place on the floor mat putting together a 3D puzzle and talking while they were doing it. And I wish, we were preserving people's anonymity, but I wished I could have videotaped it so you could have seen. It was one of the most amazing things I've seen. We had beyond a toy store worth of toys, and people went through and played with things, but that's where everybody ended up and stayed. We eventually had to kick them out because we didn't have the facility anymore. But they stayed and they talked, and the conversations were amazing. And I saw everybody's stress level go phoomp. Right now, my mom, and we are filming this on my mom's birthday, she loved a good puzzle, and I always knew that it was the holidays because there would be a puzzle on the table, and we were not required to work on the puzzle. Nobody was invited to the table and said you have to work on the puzzle, but people would come by, and you sat down at the table, and maybe my mom was in the kitchen making a pie, and so I would come and have a cup of tea or something, herbal tea, and sit at the table, and then I would just look over and find a puzzle piece or two, put it in, and then eventually my niece would come come over, and before you knew it, the whole family would be sitting there and, sometimes eating, although the rules were you had to keep the food away from where the puzzle was, right? And my mother had a puzzle mat so that she could roll things up and keep things the way they were. I don't know how that would work with a 3D puzzle, but I'm just saying it was one of the great family traditions in our household. When a bunch of people were getting together, we have a much smaller holiday now, but to do a puzzle. If you've got an extra space in which to do it, I really recommend taking it to the 3D level, especially if you have older kiddos who are on the autism spectrum or young adults on the spectrum. Because, first of all, these are great and educational, and I want to point out that Revit, nobody does it like they do. They've been in this business for quite a while, and I love that if you have a particular interest in something, it's likely that they have a puzzle for that. I'm holding the Lord of the Rings puzzle here. Here I've got one that's New York Midtown West, and it's an amazing replica, 3D. We've got Harry Potter here. We've got both a picture of Harry Potter. So this one is not 3D. If you just like the traditional, fabulous, well-made puzzles. And if you do puzzles, you know what I mean when I say well-made. Like the pieces go together and you can tell that they interlocked and that they went together. And it's not wishy-washy and it's well cut so that you're not dealing with lots of extra stuff. This one is Lord of the Rings. Take a look at that. They have a lot of Harry Potter buildings and things of that nature. And then I don't know if I can reach it. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach it, but I have this other one, which would be my pick, if I can pull it into frame here. So this one is called Lady Jane. And it's this wonderful Edwardian, maybe Victorian castle. It's where I want to live. Right? So you're a Jane Austen fan. This is the puzzle for you, and I am. So amazing. So all kinds of puzzles, Revit. You can find them online, but you can also go on autism-live.com and go to the top of the page. There's an icon that says Toy Guide, and you can click on the Toy Guide. When you do, you can see all the winners. And this, again, is in our adult category. It's the STEM award winner, because you put the pieces together, but then you have to figure out how to go around corners and structurally, it's thinking on the third D level of things. So it's sort of like three-dimensional chess. You have to be thinking ahead. We found that it was they're thicker, the 3D pieces, so there's a lot of fine motor involved with this, and we found it very relaxing. You would think stressful, but it was very relaxing. Absolutely love it. So it is in our adult category, and you can hover over the name of the Revit 3D puzzles, and it will make that interactive for you. If you click on it, you'll be taken right to a site where you can order a puzzle for your holiday season. There's a lot of time that people are going to have downtime over the holidays, right? And you want to use that time really well. And this year we paid a lot of attention to either maximizing screen time or pulling kiddos and adults off of screen time in an effort to do something that would help them build other skills. Because we know they'll do the screen time. Let's be honest about that, right? We don't have to force them into the screen time. So what can we do that's more social? What can we do that builds the skills that we want to build in an experiential way? And I'm telling you, a 3D puzzle from Revit is a great way to do that. You will so enjoy this. They're world famous, well renowned for being excellent puzzle purveyors. So enjoy the conversation that comes when you're sitting around the table putting these puzzles together. And there's a sense of accomplishment, and if you want to keep it together afterwards, you can, or you can have fun smashing it all together, putting it back in the box and saving it for another time, or donate it to a center near you that's either for individuals that's on the spectrum, or a senior citizen home would love these as well. We used to do that with our puzzles after we'd done them once, but these are awesome for saving. Look at this. Isn't this absolutely amazing what you can do? All right, so Revit Puzzles 3D, great gift this holiday season. Stick with us. We're going to come back with something else that's good for sensory. Stick with us. Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself sometimes, why does my child have meltdowns? Well, the difference between tantrums and meltdowns, tantrums, they're a part of typical development, but meltdowns are when things get a little bit more out of control, when even the child isn't sure what's entirely wrong. Generally with a meltdown, there's an environmental component. There's something else going on outside the child that's making the tantrum worse. It's really important that we start to be detectives and take notes and look around at the environment and start to figure out what are the things that happen every time your child has a meltdown. And lastly, it's important to get help. You really can't face these kinds of things effectively completely on your own. Tantrums, they're a part of typical development, but don't accept meltdowns as something that just happens. Make sure you get help and support. You might be asking yourself if your child has autism.
All right, we are back with yet another one of our award winners from this year's Toy and Gift Guide. These are the Scentsy pillows. Now, we are featuring this year the t-shirt hoodie one, and we gave this a specific award for parents, and we said this was the Parent Sensory Award. Now, okay, you might be like, wait a second, do the parents need a sensory gift? Yeah, parents do. First of all, let's stop and consider that there is an expression in the autism community that says puppies don't have kittens. And boy, that's true in my household. I have sensory issues. I'm not on the autism spectrum, but I have sensory issues. In fact, I have more sensory issues than my son does, right? He has some, but I have more. And we need things to calm us too. And this has been an award winner, I think, for the last 3 years in our guide, and we've recommended it for teens and adults, and I still do. But this year I wanted to make sure that we don't leave the parents out of things. That one of the things that I absolutely love about Scentsy's pillows is, first of all, they're soft and they're really comfortable, and you pretty much could take them anywhere. This would be a great car pillow, right? To have in the car. And I got to tell you, sometimes you just got to scream, right? I think everybody I know has had at least one moment where they're like, I got to scream right into the pillow. It's perfect, right? But it also does other things. And different pillows from Scentsy's do different things. What I love about this particular one is that it's got the pockets and it just looks so mainstream. Doesn't it look collegiate? Send this with your college student off to school, but seriously, car pillow, right? And you can put your hands in it. And then for some folks, being able to put your hands in it and push up against your belly. If you're having belly pain, and parents have that too, it's a great thing to be able to hold it and pull it that way. And there's something that's very soothing about having your hands in the pockets. I don't know why, but I'm telling you that it is. But different pillows from Scentsy's do different things. So you can go to Scenseez.com to see the full line. It's SENSEEZ.com, and you can take a look, because you're seeing here that they have one that looks like a flannel shirt, that's a red flannel shirt there, and they come in sizes that are super small that fit in a purse and come in bigger than this. Some of them have an element that heats up for people who like that sensation of warm next to them. It's almost like in the olden days, in my great-great-grandmother's time, they had hot water bottles in the winter that you would take to bed with you, and that's part of what kept you warm in the middle of the night. Well, these pillows, if you have a kiddo who gets very cold in the night and gets up in the middle of the night, you can put this by them, and there are some that heat up. This particular one is one that if you squeeze, it has a thing in it that will vibrate. I'm not going to trigger it because then it makes a noise. It will pick. It's not very loud, but since my microphone is right by it, it'll pick it up. So you can squeeze it, and there's that subtle vibration. Not everybody wants the vibration, but it's there if you choose to squeeze it and activate it. So they're plush and they're wonderful. I love the little ties. It's just clever, right? Everything about it, because it looks, like I said, very functional and normal, like something somebody would have in their car. Nobody needs to know, oh, this is like a therapeutic thing that helps you to be calm. We don't have to go into that. It just looks like it's a fabulous thing that hangs out in your car. You can get this for any parent that you know, and they will greatly appreciate it, and they will use it. They absolutely will. So this is our parent award to get something for parents that's sensory.
But the truth is you could get this for your teen, your tween, your adults. You can get it for grandma. It's a great gift all the way around. But do check out the different sizes and the different things, covers that they come with. They're super fabulous. Okay, so, and remember, you can also order it directly from the Autism Live toy guide, which is available to you at autism-live.com. You go to the toy guide at the top of the page, click it, you go through the guide, you pick the things that you like, there it is, and you hover your mouse over the title of the toy and it will become interactive. It is a hyperlink, and if you click it, it will take you directly to a site where you can purchase the item. We do not get paid for that. We do not get any kickback from it. We did that for you because you asked for that for convenience, and that is our holiday gift for you, one of our many holiday gifts for you. So check it out, Sensi's pillows, absolutely love them. All right, you guys, it's been so great to be with you here today. We've got a great lineup of shows for you this week. Tomorrow, we are not going to play a best of tomorrow. Tomorrow, we've got a great show for you featuring the amazing Joanne Lara. You know that she's a very good friend of mine, the founder of Autism Movement Therapy and Autism Works Now and Glorious Pies. And she's going to be joining us with two guests, actually. One of them is Kiki Epson. Do you know who Kiki Epson is? You may have heard of the name of Buddy Epson. Buddy Epson was a fabulous actor. He was Grandpa Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies. But before that, he was a very talented vaudevillian, a singer, a dancer. He was slated to be the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, but he had an allergic reaction to the silver makeup, and so he was replaced for that. But there is some footage of him doing the dance that's absolutely amazing. Well, Buddy has a daughter, and her name is Kiki, and she takes after her dad. She is a songstress, and she performs on a regular basis and does these amazing shows. She's just absolutely brilliant. And she's doing a benefit on Sunday for Autism Works Now. So she's going to be here with us, with Joanne, talking about that, plus a young woman who's going to be joining her in that performance that happens to be on the spectrum. So that's all going to be with us tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we believe that we have Ask Dr. Doreen with Dr. Doreen Grandpichet. We'll keep you posted on that. On Thursday, we have autism expert Elizabeth Ho, and we're going to continue our Festival of Toys and showing you our winners. And on Friday, boy, it is toy, right? Because we are getting down to it. It will be our last... No, that's not true. I was going to say, we're going to show you some great toys. It's not our last toy before Black Friday, but it's almost the last show before Black Friday. So we're going to have folks from Imperial Toys are going to be with us, folks from Popover, which make amazing functional pretend play toys. We're going to have Micah Chera from Lux Blocks, and we're going to have somebody from North Star Games with us. I didn't know we were having them. You're going to love what they've got. So Sensi's pillows, more to come. We'll be back tomorrow with Kiki Epson. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.